This is a HollyWood movie called Labyrinth, and it's basically promoting mind control and the Illuminati. Not many people probably know about this movie because it's very old, and I mean really old. I've seen this movie only once, really long time ago, and I didn't feel right watching it back then. I got this weird feeling. The 1986 movie Labyrinth, starring David Bowie and Jennifer Corney, immerses the viewer into a world of fantasy and wonder like many other fantastic tales. The movie conceals within its symbolism an underlying meaning, and in this case it is rather disturbing. Labyrinth describes the programming of a mind control victim at the hands of a sadistic handler. We will look at the occult meaning of the symbolism from Labyrinth. As we see straight from the front of the cover, she's stuck in a glass globe thing, which is also simulated as a mind control thing. Labyrinth is questionable 80s movie that contains everything we love from the 80s synth music, 80s effects, and a 80s David Bowie in the same 80s hairdo that your Aunt Susan had. But like many of these delightfully twisted fantasy movies, there is more to Labyrinth than meets the eye. By understanding the occult symbolism and references in Labyrinth, the movie becomes a big allegory for mind control, where each scene refers to a particular aspect of the progress. What appears to be a young girl's quest through a labyrinth to find her baby brother becomes a meteor of the internal world of a mind control victim that is being programmed by a handler. The obstacles that Sarah, the hero of the story, must go through relate to real-life ordeals inflicted to mind control slaves inside dissociation. If you have no idea, origins and techniques of Monarch mind control, mind games, torture, drugs, and sex abuse are all referred to in veiled symbolism during the movie, given to those in the know an extremely different story than what is shown at face value. Labyrinth is therefore constructed like most extra works in history. It uses symbolism to conceal from the masses while revealing to the indicates. Very little prior knowledge is required to understand the underlying meaning of Labyrinth. However, the movie was in fact mentioned by a few authors of mind control who described it as one of the most blatant movies on Monarch programming. Labyrinth is used by actual mind control handlers as a programming script to train the slaves. This very plausible, as the movie bears many similarities to Alice in Wonderland and Wizard of Oz, two movies that are known to be used in mind control programming. The only difference is that Labyrinth was probably specifically constructed to this purpose, while at the same time exposing the masses to this kind of symbolism. Since Labyrinth is a blueprint for mind control, it is only fitting that the star of the show is an artist who has served as a blueprint to modern pop stars David Bowie throughout his long and electric career. Bowie has touched on many occult ritualistic themes that are today rehashed by industry-made pop stars, and for some reason many of those who touch upon these occult themes also integrate mind control into their works. Maybe it is due to the fact that mind control heavily relies on black magic rituals and Kabbalistic teachings. So before we look at the symbolism of the movie, let's take a brief look at some of the symbolism used by David Bowie. David Bowie, the one they all imitated. Modern pop stars and the occult symbolism embelled in their works. It was only a matter of time before David Bowie was mentioned, as he is apparently a major source of inspiration for many of them. David Bowie is indeed the prototype of the pop star occult icon whose work incorporated concepts originating from secret societies, from strange alter egos to the occult concept of angry guy, and of course including references to Aleister Crowley and his feeler. Bowie did decades ago what pop stars are doing now, as we see. We know that Lady Gaga copied it. Bowie alter ego named Ziggy Stardust was a representation of the illuminated man who has reached the highest level of indentation. There was also a lot of one-eye things going on. Drawing the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, Bowie dressed in Egyptian garbs like Crowley used to do, and displaying the hand sign of as above so below. The difference between Bowie and today's pop stars is that he was rather open regarding the occult influence in his act and music. In a 1995 interview, Bowie stated, "My overriding interest was in Kabbalah and Crowleyism, that whole dark and rather fearsome netherworld of the wrong side of the brain." In his 1971 song Quicksand, Bowie sang, "I'm closer to Golden Door," immersed in Crowley's uniform of imagery. And if you don't know who Aleister Crowley is, his own mother said he was the most evilest man to ever exist on earth. He promoted stuff like child molestation, child abuse, child sacrifices. He promoted everything that was connected to the devil, bestiality, homosexuality. He promoted all of this, Aleister Crowley. That's why many artists now today look up to Aleister Crowley, because that's who he really was, a sicko. Golden Dawn is the name of a secret society that had Crowley as member. These are only some examples of the occult influence on Bowie's work, and an entire book could be written on the subject, since the main agnonicist of Labyrinth is a sorcerer who also happens to enjoy singing and promoting pop songs. David Bowie was a perfect fit for the role. Did he know that he played the role of a mind control handler? As we see, you can clearly see this mind control. This poster of the movie Labyrinth is full of MK trigger images. Released in 1986, Labyrinth was a chord effect between George Lucas, his last movie, and David Bowie using state-of-the-art effects that most quickly became a classic in what we can call the twisted fantasy genre. The plot of the movie is simple. A teenage girl named Sarah goes through a strange magical Labyrinth to recover her baby brother, who was kidnapped by a sorcerer named Jareth and his army of goblins. And I mean, now we got the plot of the movie is very reminiscent of The Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland, two stories that are intentionally known to be used in mind control programming. A young girl bored and distraught with her normal life finds herself in a fantasy land where everything can happen. In order to go back home, she embarks on a dangerous quest to reach a great castle, not unlike the Emerald City of the Wizard of Oz. Among the way that assertive girl uses her wits, courage, and strength to go past the obstacles in a world where no rules are established. Labyrinth is heavily symbolic from beginning to end, starting from the very first scene. Sarah is at a park dressed as a princess, practicing lines to a play under the watchful eye of an owl that is standing on top of an owl. And what is the owl known as? The owl is big in occultists. They basically worship the owl. An owl is standing at the top of an watching over Sarah. We quickly learn that the owl is Jareth, the Goblin King, played by David Bowie. The fact that Jareth takes the form of an owl in the real world, and that he sits at the top of an obelisk, is very telling about what he actually represents. The occult elite, the owl, is known to be the main symbol of the Bahavian Illuminati and is still used by the elite groups such as Baphomet Grove, where they sacrifice children and burn people alive. Many people deny that this goes on because that's what they want you to think. Well, this is why they worship the 10-foot owl at Baphomet Grove, because in reality it's the same as Babylon. If you look at Babylon, they basically created a statue of a bull that was 10 feet tall or something, and they basically sacrificed children there. Exact same thing goes on today. Instead of it being a goal, it's an owl. The owl simulates the same thing. The owl simulates the Illuminati and the devil. That's why it's used. It represents those who act under the cloak of darkness. As we see, symbol of the Memorial Church of the Bahamian Illuminati, featuring a watchful owl. I don't know why they call it church, might as well call it a church of the Illuminati, because it's not a church. The owl is at the top of an obelisk, a monument that is constantly visible throughout the entire movie. The obelisk has been for centuries the ultimate symbol of the power of the occult elite. It is found standing at the world's most powerful places, and strange occult powers are attributed to them. These tall monuments originate from the ancient Egypt and are said to represent the lost phyllis of Osiris. Who is Osiris? The devil. Osiris is the devil. We know that because there's proven fact of this, and Osiris is the devil. That's why these people in the industry worship all this so-called Egyptian symbolism. Really, it's just the devil. That's why it's all connected. The Eye of Horus is connected to the devil because Osiris is the devil. In other words, male energy, the oscillate, is therefore a pillar symbol, and the fact that this young girl encounters many of them during her quest might be a reminder of the male handler dominating her mentally and sexually through abuse. The owl watches Sarah, who is dressed as a princess and practicing a role for a play infiltrating her natural tendency to dissociate from reality and to take on other personalities, a characteristic that MK handlers seek when scouting for potential slaves. Sarah is therefore marked by the shady Illuminati mind control system. At Sarah's house we find several clues relating to her prediction to mind control. She is surrounded by toys, books and posters that foretell the dissociate adventure she is about to embark in. Many of Sarah's toys will be found animated during her adventure, which tells us that everything that will happen will be a result of her own imagination, fulfilled by the things that are familiar to her. The Wizard of Oz. Among Sarah's stuff we find a toy version of the obelisk studied Labyrinth she is about to enter, and the books of Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland. Both of these fairy tales are used to encourage victims to dissociate from reality. Labyrinth is no different and is probably used in actual mind control programming. Right above Sarah's bed is S's famous drawing named Relativity, which is that image that she's got right on the wall is used in mind control. It's used in mind control, as we know. It was used in that K-pop song. The K-pop song, it was in that. They promoted in that because that was mind control. Whenever you see this image, you know it's connected to mind control because that's why it was created. S's reactivity, the image with the stairs going in all directions right above Sarah's bed. S's mind-boggling images contain confusing features that the mind can never compute. For this reason, they are used in actual mind control programming. This particular painting will become very important later in the movie. If the child has autistic brainwaves, then the programmer will use an artwork in programming. The artwork of the European artist MC Escher is exceptionally well suited for programming purpose. For instance, in his 1947 drawing Another World, the rear plane in the center serves as a wall in relation to the horizon, a floor in connection with the view through the top opening, and a ceiling in regards to the view up towards the starry sky. Reversals, mirror image illusion, and many other qualities appear in S's artwork, which make all 76 or more of his major works excellent for programming. So Sarah is angry at her parents, especially her stepmother, because she has to stay at home and babysit her little brother named Toby while they go out. Confronted with the child's innocence, cries, Sarah wishes for the Goblin King to take him away, and an owl then enters the room and turns itself into Jareth, the Goblin King, and the crystal ball, also known as mind control as well. It's known in mind control victims. Jareth offering Sarah gifts represented by the crystal ball. Jareth has taken Toby to his world and will turn him into one of his goblins. In mind control terms, baby Toby represents Sarah's core personality that was taken away by Jareth, her handler. As long as Jareth holds Sarah's core persona, he will be able to make her go through the Labyrinth, which will represent her programming. When Sarah asks to Jareth to hand back Toby, the Goblin King uses his skills for manipulation and pursueth him. He shows Sarah a crystal ball and tells her that it contains all of her dreams. He, however, warns that it is not a gift for an ordinary girl who takes care of a screaming baby. In other words, the gift is only for girls who have lost the baby, victims of mind control. Jareth, the handler, has the power to help Sarah escape the life she loathes, but she must allow him to own her core personality, to control her. When Sarah refuses Jareth's offer, which is incongruent to the frustration theme of selling one's soul to the devil, the crystal ball magically turns into a snake and is thrown at her, which the snake represents Lucifer, the serpent. So we know that this is who is behind all this stuff. The devil, we know that. At her, Jareth then mentionally says, "Don't defy me." Seeing that she will not forget about the baby, Jareth tells Sarah that Toby is at his castle and that she has 13 hours to find him. They are both transported into the Labyrinth, which is a big image representing Sarah's inner world under the control of her handler. Inside the Labyrinth, Sarah must traverse a gigantic labyrinth in order to reach the castle, which represents her walled off and compartmentalized core persona. The entire labyrinth is Sarah's inner world, and Jareth is the undisputed master of everything that happens in it. He can also change everything at will. Obsolete lists are found all across the Labyrinth, a symbol reminding of the sexual control the handlers have over their slaves. Inside the Labyrinth, Sarah quickly realizes that it does not obey the rules of reality. She finds herself walking never-ending straight paths leading to nowhere. The Labyrinth appears to be an infinite straight path to nowhere. And then we get the all-seeing eyes. Sarah then learns that it is only by mentally picturing an entry towards the castle that one will appear. She must make her own path within her own mind. Strange plants with eyes on the walls of Labyrinth reminds us that Sarah is tightly monitored by her handlers during the entire process. The symbol of the all-seeing eye is heavily used in actual mind control programming. While trying to advance through the Labyrinth, Sarah realizes that everything keeps changing around her. She meets strange creatures who say confusing riddles that lead to never-ending loops of circular logic. Her catchphrase appears to be, "It's not fair," as she repeats it numerous times during the movie. This phrase does sum up pretty nicely the life of a MK slave. There are no rules and every kind of unfairness can occur. Meanwhile, Jareth is in the castle with Toby monitoring Sarah. Jareth and his horned throne. The ordeals in her path towards the castle. Sarah goes through all kind of obstacles, many of which symbolically represent the actual traumas lived by mind control victims. In Sarah's first ordeal, she falls into a pit filled with helping hands. Sarah is held and grabbed by countless hands around her. This can refer to the victims being multiplied and abused by hidden handlers. Later, Sarah finds herself in a forest surrounded by the Fire Gang, who are strange singing creatures that can remove parts of their bodies at will. The concept of dismembered body parts is central to mind control programming. The Fire Gang's performance soon turns into a nightmare when they jump on Sarah and try to remove her head. And I mean, when I watched this, I mean, these things were really, really creepy and messed up. Gives you a really, really horrible feeling. The Fire Gang trying to remove Sarah's head from her body represented the MK slaves' dissociation from reality. Upon escaping the Fire Gang, Sarah finds herself in an even worse place, the pool of eternal stench. The pool of eternal stench is basically a big gassy pond full of feces. It keeps emitting flatulence and blurches and is therefore very bodily place. Sarah and her friends are forced to go through the non-stream pond in order to continue the quest. This odd scene can refer to the actual mind control technique to introduce trauma, which consists in immersing the slaves in feces and urine and or to consume them. Our natural repulse to excrement and the foul odor we get from them are our body's way to tell us to stay away from them, because they are infested with all kinds of worms and parasites that are toxic to us. Our organs are so well made that we are intrinsically repulsed by the things that are bad for us. The forced consummation of excrement is therefore particularly traumatic, as it goes against the human body most basic instincts. Sarah's episode in the pool of eternal stench is an imaginative way to describe Sarah's traumatic experience as an MK slave during program. After crossing the pool, Sarah is given a gift, one that is poisoned of course, and of course it's the apple. Remember, you've probably seen it in Snow White, we know that movie where she gets offered an apple and it's poisoned and it's poisoned. Sarah receives a peach that makes her hallucinate a thinly veiled allusion to the drugs that are given to Monarch slaves during programming. So basically she's been drugged without knowing. When Sarah takes a bite from the peach, she feels woozy and starts hallucinating. Monarch slaves are consistently given drugs to amplify the effects of the programming and to incite fear and terror. Laying on the ground, Sarah sees a crystal ball with a symbolic image representing her, and again simulating that she's trapped. Sarah sees doll, and there's a reason why there's dolls associated with these kind of things. Whenever you see a doll and all this symbolism, it's Monarch mind control, because a doll simulates a core persona. Sarah sees doll in princess clothes surrounded by bars, a classic way to portray dissociate mind control slaves. Sarah is then shown at a strange ball with guests wearing masks of goats, pigs and birds, commonly called an Illuminati ball, and finds Jareth, her handler, waiting for her. One with the goats, you could basically say, is the Baphomet. As we know with the Illuminati that they love horn things with horns. Jareth waiting for Sarah behind a horned mask, at the Illuminati ball. Jareth and Sarah find each other and begin waltzing together, with Jareth giving suggestive looks to a 15-year-old girl. This scene symbolically portrays the forced satanic union between the slave, who is said to be the princess of her world, and her handler. The lyrics of David Bowie's song playing during the ball can be interpreted as a love song from a handler to a mind-controlled slave. As the pain sweeps through, make no sense for you, every thrill has gone. Wasn't too much fun at all, but I'll be there for you. As the world falls down, it's falling down. And again, the broken mirror is known in Monarch mind control. The ball then quickly turns into a nightmare, where all of the masked guests start running after her. Is she bad tripping? Sarah starts running, shatters a mirror, and runs through it, another classic symbol of mind control. To escape the house, Sarah must shatter a mirror, a symbolic image representing the fracture of her personality. Confronting Jareth. Despite all of those troubles, Sarah finally reaches the castle and enters it. She finds herself lost in a life-size painting with Toby crawling. Jareth magically appears from everywhere in the scene, the same way handlers appear in the inner world of Monarch slaves. Noticed how she had this picture on a wall, and then suddenly it ends up in this reality that she's now in. Seems very weird, doesn't it? Minted the exact same stairs that was in that picture. Sarah in a life-size image. Then the entire world around Sarah crumbles, leaving only her facing her handler. Sarah asks Jareth to give her back the baby, her innocent core. Jareth gives her a classic double-speak mind-bending lecture, the kind that MK slaves get from their handlers. He says, "I have recorded time. I have turned the world upside down. I have done it all for you. I am exhausted from living up to your expectations of me. Isn't that generous?" He then offers her the crystal ball again. Jareth asks Sarah to sell her soul in exchange of her dreams. Remember the beginning where it turned into a snake when she said no? He says, "Look what I'm offering you. Your dreams I asked for so little. Just let me rule you, and you can have everything that you want. Just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave." This is the classic deal with the devil proposal, where Jareth says that he asked for so little, while he is actually asking for Sarah's everything, her mind, body, and soul, exactly what the devil asked for. Basically, this is what the devil asked for when you sell your soul. Sarah then starts reciting the lines she was practicing at the beginning of the movie and says, "You have no power over me." Everything crumbles again. Sarah leaves her internal world and finds herself back in the eternal world, the real world. Her house, Toby is back in his crib, and everything is apparently back to normal, but it isn't. In her room seems some of the creatures she has met in a Labyrinth, and is apparently happy to see them. She tells them, "I don't know why, but every now and again in my life, for no reason at all, I need you." In other words, Sarah has accepted the internal world that was programmed into her by her handler. It now can be triggered by him at any time during her life. Sarah and her friends party in her room under the watchful eye of an owl. An owl again. Jareth, who has never lost control of her, he is actually the winner of the duels with Sarah. Her programming is complete. The movie closes with David Bowie's song Underground. The song has very churchly feel, with a loud a gospel choir accompanying him, and talks about a place with no pain. That place is not heaven, but underground, which can be equated to hell. In mind control terms, is the trauma-filled life of an MK slave. So in perfect conjunction with the movie, Bowie leaves the viewers with one last interversion of good and evil, heaven and hell, and pleasure and pain with this song. No one can blame you for walking away. Too much rejection, nah. No love injection. Life can be easy. It's not always swell. Don't tell me truths hurts, little girl, 'cause it hurts like hell. But down in the underground you'll find someone true. Down in the underground, a land seen a crystal moon. Basically, the underground meaning hell. Basically saying hell's a good place, and it isn't. It's only forever, not long at all. Lost and lonely, that's underground. Basically, this is what hell is. Lonely, torment, pain, agony. This is what will happen in hell. Daddy, get me out of here, haha, I'm underground. Heard about a place today, nothing ever hurts again. Daddy, get me out of here. Aha, I'm underground. Sister, please take me down. Oh, I'm underground. Underground saying hell. While most viewers interpret the story of Labyrinth as a tale about the importance of imagination or something, or the sorts the symbolism of the movie gives it a deeper meaning, while the story could be interpreted in numerous ways. Another article could be written about Sarah's quest being a metaphor for interpretation. References to mind control are definitely present. Once the imagery and the triggers relating to mind control are understood, the movie becomes a vivid description of the eternal world of a monarch slave during programming, totally at the mercies of her handler and the twisted world he created in her mind. That slave attempts to return to reality where things make sense. The task is difficult as the handler controls time, hence the 13-hour clock that keeps popping up during the movie, and space secret passages in the Labyrinth. During the quest, the slave meets friends who appear to be helping her, but who are actually leading her to exactly where her handler wants her to be. In fact, Sarah's entire quest for liberation is actually her being manipulated towards the acceptance of her programming. By going through the Labyrinth, Sarah went through all of the trauma necessary to program her. What appears to be the defeat of Jareth is actually a victory, as he successfully programmed Sarah's eternal world. It can be used in her words every now and again in her life. Like Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland, Labyrinth is an imaginative fairy tale whose story can be used as a programming script in mind control programming. Unlike the older tales, however, Labyrinth might have been specifically constructed for mind control purposes. The story, the symbolism, and the music of the movie all form a constant sensory overload where the viewers are totally immersed in the strange world of mind control. There is, however, one hitch. Like mind control victims, most viewers are completely duped by the movie and its message. While it appears to be about the triumph of a girl's mind over evil, it is actually the triumph of evil over a girl's mind. In the words of Bowie, "Don't tell me truth hurts, little girl, 'cause it hurts like hell." So what you say?